Hot Gorilla number 3, Nemesis, written by Joseph Raines, with original characters from the imagination of Keenan Rice. The city streets bustled with the usual evening chaos as Hot Gorilla sat perched on an old rooftop air conditioning unit, watching the world below. His pink bunny ears twitched occasionally, picking up snippets of conversation, honking cars, and the occasional shout from a street performer. Carl, his self-proclaimed sidekick and general nuisance, paced nervously beside him. "I'm telling you, something big is about to go down," Carl said, gesturing with a half-eaten burrito. "You've been saying that for the past week," Hot Gorilla replied, leaning back against a brick wall. "So far, the only big thing that's gone down is your blood sugar every time you skip a meal." Carl ignored the jab, his pacing intensifying. "I mean it this time. I've been hearing whispers, weird stuff, people disappearing, strange fights breaking out in alleys. It's all connected." "Uh-huh," Hot Gorilla said, rolling his golden eyes. "And I'm sure your buddy down at the taco truck told you this between bites of a quesadilla." "Actually," Carl said, pointing a finger triumphantly, "he did. And he knows things, all right? Street-level intel." Hot Gorilla groaned, rubbing his temples. "Fine, Carl. If you're so convinced, what's our next move, huh? Stakeout? Patrol? Or maybe we just follow your gut, which, for the record, has the accuracy of a drunk pigeon." Before Carl could retort, a loud explosion echoed from a few blocks away, followed by a chorus of panicked screams. Hot Gorilla's ears twitched. "Huh. Looks like you got one right. Let's go." Without waiting for a reply, he leapt from the rooftop, landing effortlessly in the alley below. Carl scrambled to follow, muttering under his breath as he awkwardly climbed down a fire escape. They arrived at the scene moments later, a bank at the corner of 5th and Main. The scene at the bank was chaos. Smoke poured from the shattered glass doors, and alarms blared over the distant sound of sirens. Inside, a group of 5 masked robbers had taken control, barking orders at the terrified patrons. "Fill the bags, now!" one shouted, waving an automatic rifle. "Do as we say, and no one gets hurt," another yelled, his voice muffled by a cheap ski mask. Hot Gorilla crouched behind a car across the street, peeking through the smoke to assess the situation. Carl huddled beside him, clutching a broken broomstick like it was Excalibur. "All right. Here's the plan," Carl whispered. "I'll sneak in and distract them, and you—" "Stop talking," Hot Gorilla interrupted, standing up. "Wait! What are you doing?" Carl hissed, grabbing at his arm. "Improvising," Hot Gorilla said with a smirk. He strode toward the bank, his massive frame immediately drawing the robbers' attention. One of them pointed a gun at him, his hands trembling. "What the hell is that?" "A freaking gorilla?" another muttered. Hot Gorilla raised his hands mockingly. "Relax, boys. I'm not here for your lunch money. I just wanted to ask if you've ever heard of cardio. Running in those ski masks must be brutal." "Stay back!" the first robber shouted, firing a warning shot. The bullet ricocheted harmlessly off Hot Gorilla's chest. He dusted himself off, unfazed. "Cute. My turn." He lunged forward, grabbing the nearest robber and tossing him into a stack of overturned desks. The second charged at him with a crowbar, but Hot Gorilla caught it mid-swing, bending it in half with a grin. "You guys are adorable," he said, tossing the twisted metal aside. "But maybe stick to shoplifting. This whole criminal mastermind thing isn't your vibe." 2 of the remaining robbers bolted for the back exit, their courage evaporating. But one stayed behind, a tall, muscular man who moved with an eerie fluidity. "You've had your fun," the man growled, stepping forward. Hot Gorilla raised a brow. "Oh, great, the ringleader. Let me guess, you're gonna monologue now?" The man didn't reply. Instead, he crouched low, his fingers curling like claws. Then he lunged, faster than any human should be able to move. Hot Gorilla barely had time to react before the man's fist slammed into his chest, sending him skidding backward. For a moment, Hot Gorilla stared at him in disbelief. "Okay," he muttered, rubbing his ribs. That actually hurt. What are you? A professional wrestler? The man smirked, revealing unnervingly sharp teeth. Something like that. Hot Gorilla charged, throwing a punch that would have leveled a truck. But the man ducked under it with inhuman speed, delivering a sharp kick to Hot Gorilla's knee. You've got some moves, Hot Gorilla admitted, grimacing as he regained his footing. But I've got the size advantage. He swung again, this time connecting with the man's shoulder. The force sent him crashing into a nearby column, cracking the concrete. Stay down, Hot Gorilla said, cracking his knuckles. But the man didn't stay down. He got to his feet, shaking off the impact like it was nothing. His movements were unnervingly animalistic now, low to the ground, quick and predatory. All right, Hot Gorilla said, his ears twitching. This is officially weird. Before the fight could escalate, the man leapt backward, grabbing one of the abandoned cash bags. He shot Hot Gorilla a final toothy grin before darting out the back exit with impossible speed. Damn it! Hot Gorilla growled, starting to give chase. Maybe let him go? Carl's voice piped up. Hot Gorilla turned to see Carl standing awkwardly in the middle of the chaos, holding a fire extinguisher like a shield. Seriously? Hot Gorilla asked. What? Carl said defensively. I was gonna hit him with it if he came at me. Hot Gorilla sighed, his shoulders slumping. Let's just get out of here before the cops show up. Later that night, back at their makeshift headquarters, a rooftop with an old tarp and a couple of lawn chairs, Hot Gorilla sat brooding while Carl recapped the day's events with far more enthusiasm than they warranted. That was insane, Carl said, pacing excitedly. You were all like, smash! And that guy was all like, zoom! And then, bam, right into the column. Yeah, thanks for the play-by-play, Hot Gorilla muttered, rubbing his temples. In case you missed it, Carl, I didn't win. You didn't lose either, Carl said, shrugging. That guy ran off like a scared little whatever he was. Hot Gorilla's ears twitched at the memory. The man's movements had been unnatural, too fast, too precise. And those teeth. He wasn't normal, Hot Gorilla said, his tone unusually serious. No kidding, Carl said. Dude was like a jungle cat on steroids. Hot Gorilla nodded slowly. Which means this isn't over. Whoever that guy was, he's working for someone. And if they've got more like him, we're in for a hell of a fight. Carl sat down beside him, frowning. So, what do we do now? Hot Gorilla stared out at the city, his golden eyes glinting in the moonlight. We do what we always do. We smash bad guys. And when we find whoever's behind this, they're gonna wish they stayed in their little hidey hole. The night air was cool and quiet as Hot Gorilla and Carl strolled down an empty street. Carl swung a flashlight he didn't need, using it more like a baton, while Hot Gorilla walked with his hands behind his head, his pink bunny ears twitching as he listened for trouble. You know, Carl said, breaking the silence, we've been at this for weeks now, and I gotta say, I think we're getting pretty good at this superhero thing. Hot Gorilla snorted. Speak for yourself. You still scream like a toddler every time someone pulls a gun. That's called strategy, Carl shot back, puffing out his chest. It distracts them, throws them off their game. Right, Hot Gorilla said dryly. You're a tactical genius. Before Carl could respond, the sound of breaking glass shattered the quiet. Hot Gorilla's ears perked up, and he turned toward the source. Across the street, a jewelry store's front window was smashed, its alarm blaring. Showtime, Hot Gorilla said, cracking his knuckles. They approached cautiously, peering inside. The store was in shambles, glass cases smashed, and shelves overturned. 3 masked robbers were busy stuffing diamonds and gold into duffel bags. But it was the figure standing near the back that caught Hot Gorilla's attention. The tall, muscular man from the bank stood with his arms crossed, his sharp features illuminated by the dim emergency lights. He moved with a predator's calmness, exuding an air of control as the other robbers worked. Well, 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 Hot Gorilla muttered. If it isn't Mr. Cat Fancy. That's the guy from the bank, Carl hissed, gripping his flashlight nervously. What do we do? We smash, Hot Gorilla said, stepping through the broken window. Hey, kitty cat, he called out. Didn't think I'd see you again so soon. The man turned, his piercing yellow eyes narrowing. You should have stayed out of this, he growled. You don't know what you're messing with. Oh, I'm pretty sure I do, Hot Gorilla said, flexing his biceps. You steal stuff. I punch you. Repeat as necessary. Simple. The man smirked, his body tensing as he dropped into a low stance. You've made a mistake coming here tonight. Hot Gorilla grinned. I like a guy with confidence. Let's see if you can back it up. The two collided with a thunderous crash, sending shards of glass flying. The robbers scattered, ducking for cover as Hot Gorilla and the man traded blows. The cat-like robber was faster, darting around Hot Gorilla with inhuman agility and precision, his movements eerily reminiscent of a stalking panther. Hot Gorilla swung a fist, but the man ducked under it with ease, landing a powerful kick to Hot Gorilla's ribs. Not bad, Hot Gorilla admitted, grimacing as he steadied himself. But you're gonna have to hit harder than that if you want to take me down. The man moved again, circling Hot Gorilla with lightning speed, striking him from angles that were hard to predict. Each blow was calculated and precise, designed to keep Hot Gorilla off balance. All right, Hot Gorilla said, his ears twitching. This is officially annoying. He lunged forward, catching the man mid-dodge and slamming him into a display case. The impact shattered the glass, and the man groaned as he hit the floor. Guess you're not as untouchable as you think, Hot Gorilla said, towering over him. But the man wasn't done. He sprang back to his feet with surprising speed, landing a solid kick to Hot Gorilla's chest that sent him skidding backward. You've got some moves, Hot Gorilla said, rubbing his chest. But I've got these sexy-ass ears, so it seems pretty clear I'm gonna win. The fight dragged on, with Hot Gorilla using his brute strength to overpower the man's speed. Finally, after a particularly intense exchange of blows, Hot Gorilla managed to grab him mid-dash, slamming him into the floor with enough force to crack the tile. The fight ended with the man pinned beneath Hot Gorilla's massive hand, gasping for air. His mask had fallen off, revealing his sharp features and predatory eyes. All right, Jungle Jim, Hot Gorilla said. You're done, but before I hand you over to the cops, you're gonna tell me who you're working for. The man smirked weakly. You'll find out soon enough. Hot Gorilla frowned. Cryptic and useless. Great. Guess I'll just look through your stuff. Reaching into the man's pocket, he pulled out a battered cell phone. He held it up to Carl, who was cautiously peeking through the broken window. Hey, Steve, think you can hack this? Carl rolled his eyes. It's Carl. And no, I can't hack a phone, but I can hit redial. Same thing, Hot Gorilla said, tossing him the phone. Make yourself useful. Carl pressed a button, holding the phone to his ear. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Report, the voice demanded, cold, clinical, and unmistakably familiar to Hot Gorilla. Dr. Glass, Hot Gorilla said, grabbing the phone from Carl. His golden eyes glinted with anger. Long time no see. There was a pause. Then the voice on the other end hardened. You. Me, Hot Gorilla said, leaning casually against a broken display case. You've been busy, Doc. Animal-themed thugs? Cute. Let me guess. You got fired from your cushy lab job and decided to play Dr. Frankenstein? You ruined everything, Dr. Glass snapped, his composure cracking. Years of research gone. My reputation destroyed. Do you have any idea what I've lost because of you? Let me guess, Hot Gorilla said. A fancy grant, a parking spot with your name on it, and maybe a 401k? Boo-hoo. You think this is a joke? Dr. Glass hissed. I was going to change the world. Now I'll destroy it. And you, starting with this city. Wow, Hot Gorilla said, raising an eyebrow. That's original. Let me guess. Next you're going to monologue about how I'll regret crossing you. You will regret it. Dr. Glass snarled. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." "Sure, Doc. You've got a gang of knockoff Power Rangers and a chip on your shoulder. Real terrifying." "This isn't over," Dr. Glass said, his voice icy. "I'm going to tear down everything you care about. Mark my words, Gorilla." Before Hot Gorilla could reply, the line went dead. He stared at the phone for a moment, then handed it back to Carl. "Well," Carl said, scratching his beard, "that sounded ominous." Hot Gorilla smirked, his bunny ears twitching. "Looks like I've got a nemesis." Carl frowned. "Wait, does that make me the sidekick of a guy with a nemesis? Is there, like, a sidekick protocol for this?" "Relax, Steve," Hot Gorilla said, patting him on the head. "You're doing fine." Carl swatted his hand away. "It's Carl." "Whatever you say, Steve," Hot Gorilla said with a grin, walking off into the night. "Let's go. We've got a lot of smashing to do." And with that, the stage was set. Hot Gorilla and his sarcastic wit had found their match in Dr. Glass, a nemesis who wouldn't rest until he brought the city to its knees.